Hello and welcome to Daily Reflection with Aneel Aranha. Today is the 7th of July 2018. We're going to reflect on Matthew chapter 9, 14 to 17. Then the disciples of John came to Jesus saying, "Why do we and the Pharisees fast often, but your disciples do not fast?" And Jesus said to them, "The wedding guests cannot mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them, can they? The days will come when the bridegroom is taken away from them, and then they will fast. No one sews a piece of unshrunk cloth on an old cloak, for the patch pulls away from the cloak, and a worse tear is made. Neither is new wine put into old wineskins. Otherwise the skins burst, and the wine is spilled, and the skins are destroyed. No, new wine is put into fresh wineskins, and so both are preserved." The Gospel of the Lord. In yesterday's reading, we saw the Pharisees asking the disciples of Jesus why he was feasting with sinners. In today's reading, we see the disciples of John asking Jesus why his disciples were not fasting. It appears that there are different criteria for holiness. For one set, it is not eating with sinners. With the other, it is not eating at all. But we will leave this for another day. What I would like to talk to you about instead are the three different images that Jesus uses to reveal something about the nature of his kingdom. The first is the imagery of the bridegroom and the bride. Disciples of John would have been very familiar with it because it was John who had applied the term bridegroom to Jesus in John 3:29. Not only does Jesus want to give us a sense of a wedding where an atmosphere of celebration and rejoicing prevails, but also remind us of God saying in the Old Testament that he would come to claim Israel for his bride. Read Hosea 2:19 to 23 if you find a moment. So people fasted in those days in anticipation of the bridegroom coming. Now the bridegroom was here to claim us for his bride. And when he left, we would fast again in anticipation of his return. The second is imagery of a new patch on old clothing. Now, nobody patches up old clothing these days. They simply throw it away. So this illustration may not make much sense to us. So how about another analogy? Consider the rebuilding of a house. If you want to rebuild a house, you break it down and build a new house. However, do keep in mind that the foundation remains the same. So, there are people who say the Old Testament is no longer important. No, it doesn't lose its relevance or its importance. It's still the foundation. It merely has to be looked at in the context of the new because now we have the entire picture. The third is imagery of wine in wineskins. Nobody puts new wine into old wineskins, and Jesus was coming up with something entirely new. Hebrews 8:13 says, "In speaking of a new covenant, he has made the first one obsolete, and what is obsolete and growing old will soon disappear." For the technologically minded, consider a software or hardware upgrade to your Mac or PC. Once you've upgraded your system, there is no going back to the old one, is there? But the base architecture remains the same. Now, this is a lot to reflect upon, but if we spend some time pondering these things, we will gain much freedom and joy, because despite being children of the resurrection, for some strange reason we have returned to the mentality of the Pharisees, preferring law over love, sorrow over joy. Let us keep looking at our faith, asking God for the wisdom to understand it as Jesus wants us to understand it, and we will be able to live an abundant life. Now, if you want all of this in one sentence, think of Jesus saying, "Behold, I make all things new." God bless you.